Do this again like that? Never. It was insanely just it took a piece of our soul for sure, but we got it done, and that's the important thing. So we didn't get it funded. We didn't get it funded traditionally, you know.
Have you been able to enter into any film festivals?
Yeah, we entered quite a few. We won best. We won here in Arizona, best of the fest, the best picture at the Sholo Film Festival. So that was fun.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Steve. All right, who else, guys?
When's the next film?
Yeah. Well, we're working on a film right now, but it's narrative, it's fiction, you know, it's not documentary. We took a step back from documentaries for a while, and so, but our films, since then we've written 3 full feature scripts, and I think we finally got funded for one of them now. We're going to meet with an investor in a month, and but our stories have something related to Lyme disease, because it's still important to us that awareness gets, you know, the name of the disease is out there. There are still people that don't know what Lyme is, you know, and so the next film is a fiction drama that it's a sci-fi that takes place in the near future, man with machine and robots and things like that. And the protagonist's wife, now this is kind of bleak, but the protagonist's wife dies of Lyme disease related illnesses. So we go into it how Lyme disease is that brutal to the body and to the mind. Because people don't, you know, whenever you talk about Lyme with people, they say, oh, that disease that you get the tick bite, and then you just take some antibiotics and you're done. No, that's not Lyme. It's much, much more complex than that, right? So we have that little soundbite in the film that makes people raise their eyebrows and possibly do some research on it.
We'll look forward to seeing that.
All right, who else, guys? So Tony, you know, I always had asked a question in regard to potentially doing a documentary on congenital Lyme transmission. There's so many people who catch this from other ways outside of just getting a tick bite. Had you guys ever considered doing something on congenital Lyme? These families sometimes I'm coming across with my nonprofit are generational, where it's passed.
Correct.
You know,
Yeah, as a matter of fact, to answer your question, no, we're not going to be doing any more documentaries, but if you saw in The Monster Inside Me, the scene where Frances goes to the cemetery to visit her mom's graveyard, that's where she begins to think that she got Lyme from her mother. And her mother died at the age of 52 from a strange illness that nobody knew what it was. She never got tested for anything. Her organs just started shutting down until she died. Right. And also in the film, Ryan, the bald guy with the beard, his wife, Tori, has Lyme, passed it to her son. So we go into it, but it is more than ever now coming out, isn't it, into the open, this congenital Lyme situation. And yeah, it's out there. It's very, Christina, what is your interest in it? Just because people are talking about it more and more?
Yeah, well, I mean, so my family is a congenital family. I had my mom tested, so it's not generational, but I gave it to all 4 of my kids, 2 in Illinois that were born there and 2 in Texas. And it was just so difficult to find anybody who would treat children in Texas. There are 0 doctors trained properly to treat kids in Texas. There's only one
Yeah.
that we're aware of willing to do it. There's a second one willing to do it, but she doesn't have great reviews, so we don't send people to her. So qualified is the medical term I use, people who are qualified to treat. And so there's just not enough. We work to open access to care. That's what Texas Lyme Alliance does. This is just a patient group that was not being talked about. And it happened to me, it happened to a lot of other people that I'm aware of. And it's just not getting the attention that it deserves from the medical community. So I'm wanting to do what I can to continue to pass along the information that it's mentioned on the CDC's website, but they say it's rare, but it's not. And it's just something that is part of this puzzle where there's so many other ways to transmit this illness that falls by the wayside and doesn't get discussed. So that's why I started Texas Lyme Alliance, because no one was talking about congenital Lyme.
Yeah. It's funny you should say that. Not funny as in haha funny, but
Uncanny funny.
just a couple of days ago, I reached out to the girl that did our soundtrack for the Monster Side, Kaylee Prudenham. She's a very, very talented musician, an incredible artist, and she's been really sick with Lyme for a long time. And I hadn't spoken to her in a couple of years, and I called her because I wanted her to write a piece for this new film. And she said, "Oh, I'd be delighted to. I'm a bit busy now because I just became a mother." And I thought, "Oh, congratulations, that's wonderful." But then in the back of my mind, oh my goodness, you're going to have that kid tested soon. You're going to have to have an eye on that child, make sure. So yeah, that is very present, very real. It's a reality that, like you said, is not talked about. That's correct. It would make a fascinating documentary, Christina, following a family, kind of like they did in Under My Skin, or Under Our Skin Part 2, They kind of followed a couple of families there.
Yep.
I think that would be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be interesting, and I think with some of the other nonprofits for Lyme disease that are bigger than mine, I could probably help within that realm to speak with them and see what kind of funding we could get for something like that, because it is really an issue that's not discussed enough. People need to be aware, and there's a protocol. Moms need to know how to order the kit ahead of time. The doctors all need to be aware, and the nurses need to be aware to save the cord blood, and how to extract the cord blood properly, to send the proper specimen with the right labs, etc. So it's an ordeal that needs properly set up ahead of time, and I've been advocating for people to get this in their OB-GYN practices before family planning is even discussed. Age 15 and up, everybody needs to be checked yearly, just like our dogs are, but before family planning starts becoming a topic for a woman.
So I'm curious, if somebody comes to you, Christina, and they say they have Lyme, and they said, "Oh, we're thinking of getting pregnant, we're so excited," would you say something, or would you be quiet?
If they have Lyme, for sure, they need to be tested, and I absolutely would say something. And as a matter of fact, I have brochures here that is for that reason, that there's a Lyme study that's being done on pregnant women right now. So I'm trying to plug the gaps of knowledge within the community, and work through legislation. Absolutely is the only way to go about doing this, because as you hit so well in your film, there's so many conflicts of interest that we have to rise above all that and just focus on the solutions. So we're all in remission, but then my son was exposed to Bartonella again, and so we'll see how, up to 60% of cats Carrie Bartonella who go inside and outside. So it's
Yeah.
it's a high prevalence that people aren't aware of these risks that are so common. Who
Yeah.
didn't grow up with a cat, or who hasn't been bit by a bug, you know, or who doesn't plan to have a family. Almost everybody does all these things, and we just don't realize prevention is the best cure. And I think that's really a great idea for you guys to consider doing, that the Lyme community would really rally behind you guys if you're willing to. I know it's a big commitment, so no pushing here, but boy, we'd sure love to help you make sure to spotlight some of these things that are not getting the highlights they deserve for prevention.
Well, I appreciate what you do. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you watched the credits all the way through, but your name, Christina, is on the credits because in the special thank you, because you've been with us from the beginning. You've supported us, and so I really appreciate it. Now, I'm curious about your audience there. I can't see you guys because there's no camera. Does your audience have Lyme? Are they curious? Do they have loved ones that have Lyme? Do they just like documentaries and they came to watch one?
Anybody in here does not have Lyme besides Roxanne? Okay, the dates of the room does not have Lyme, but the spouses or the person accompanying them do. I don't know, do you have a
Okay.
loved one with Lyme? Or yourself? Yes.
I have.
Okay. Yeah, so almost everybody here has Lyme.
18 family members with Lyme.
Can you come to the thing and tell him that, because he probably can't hear you. My son is here. I had two of my boys here helping, and
So my family
Yeah.
is from Connecticut, and I have 18 family members with chronic Lyme. Several are congenital, and they run the whole gamut from they've tested positive but don't have symptoms, all the way to my sister-in-law who died because she was misdiagnosed with ALS and didn't get properly tested for Lyme until she was in hospice. And then we have everything in between. My mom's in the nursing home with dementia. My nephew who had tics when he was, not tics, but neurological twitching when he was 2 years old, and doctors told my sister he was attention seeking, and then ended up with OCD and cutting and eating disorders, and then a heroin addict. He's recovered now, but all of that could have been avoided if just one doctor, when he was 2 years old, had recognized that maybe his neurologic twitching was really from Lyme disease, and that's something we need to change. So
Yeah.
I run.
And you're
I run a lot of Facebook support groups now to help spread awareness.
and you work on our
very
work.
good, very
Yes,
good.
and I work-
And you're the mouthpiece of the family. You're the one with the mouth on the bullhorn.
Yeah, some people listen and some don't.
That's what's so sad.
Did you
when
tell him you're a
willing
PA?
and believe
I
it.
understand how that is. Yeah.
You're a
Oh, I'm a PA too. So
PA? She's a medical care provider, just a small piece of information there, and she serves on my board as well.
And I've thought about opening a Lyme.
Oh,
clinic.
fantastic.
Yeah, I've thought about opening a Lyme clinic
Yeah.
around here, but we'll see. It's still in the works.
Yeah. Very good. Do you guys have a good Lyme Awareness Month in your organization?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I just got back last week from DC with the Center for Lyme Action. We're gonna talk a little bit about that here in a second, and then let's see. And then I did a couple presentations, one for the Plano Rotary Club here, and there was about 30 people there. So getting the word out little by little. So 3 events in 1 month is enough for me.
Very good, Christina.
Yeah, thanks for
Very
everything that
good,
you're
very
doing.
good.
Appreciate the film
Yeah,
so much.
likewise.
This is the second time I watched it, and I of course saw
Okay.
new things to cry about.
Yeah. What are some things you cried over?
Oh my God. Well, The psychiatric stuff for sure was such a
that's
difficult
tough, huh?
thing to watch, and what a family goes through, and you know, how the couples struggle. That's such an ordeal that I don't think gets, you know, the proper care and counseling and things like that, you know, we tried and did. Just a lot of people don't have that as a resource for themselves. So I actually have support groups that are free on my website. It's a Chronic Pain and Chronic Illness Anonymous support group. It's free, and it's based off of the Al-Anon or AA program. So it's a beautiful program, and it's completely free, and you know, it's all online, so it's around the world. But I'm trying to put as many resources out there for patients and the medical community as possible, connecting the gaps.
Let me share something interesting with you guys.
Sure.
We showed this film, we showed this movie in quite a few cities in the U.S. And we showed it in Denver, Colorado, which is where Frances is from, and her whole entire family, cousins, nephews, sisters, you know, everybody's from there. And so we showed it in a big, I forget the name of the theater, but it's a big historic cinema house in downtown Denver. And quite a few people showed up, a couple hundred people showed up, and half of them were her family members that were fascinated by Aunt Frances or Cousin Frances is in a movie? What? Let's go see this, you know? So they did not expect what they saw on the screen. And after the film was done and the lights came on, everybody was sitting down with their mouths open.
Oh my God.
You know, like her family members had no idea that she was going through the things that she was. And of course, she had already gone over the hill with all those over the mountain, and she was much, much better, so she was able to smile, you know, through all those past tears. But it was this type of awareness, when it starts with your family, when your family members understand what you're really going through, they go through this cognitive dissonance of, really? No. You know, this desire of it not being so, because truth is so painful sometimes, you know, so painful. But it needs to be said, it needs to be told. And that is our legacy, you know, the movie's out there. It's been seen in over 45 countries, and we still get weekly emails of people saying, this movie saved my life. So we're happy that you guys got a chance to see it and share it with people that don't believe in it, you know. Share it with people that are still skeptical of your fight, of your everyday. I mean, sometimes Lyme patients, it's not a day-to-day, it's a minute-by-minute situation, hour by hour. Okay, I made this hour, let's make it through the next hour. And that's how Frances was, that's how I saw her. And as a caretaker, same thing for me. Sometimes it's hour by the hour, you know, day by day, until you started seeing the fog dissipate, until you started finally seeing, as they say, the light at the end of the tunnel. It came, it comes, but it was interesting to see her family really leave the theater affazed, almost not believing what they just saw and heard, you know. And that is how we're presenting the truth of Lyme. It hurts, it kills, it maims, it dismembers, it breaks marriages, it causes people to commit suicide. It's really dark. But at the same time, when people understand what it is, then there's light, right? Light is thrown there in the middle, and I think that's what awareness is really about, and that's what you're doing, Christina, as well. You know, you're going through a different route that we are. You're going to the political side and going to Washington, D.C., which is something we never did, you know, and that's commendable, that's incredible. But we need to take all the facets of awareness and keep pushing them forward. And I would be so excited to see the things that you and the Texas Lyme Org push through, you know, because you guys are working so hard.
Thank you so
it'd be
much.
interesting to see.
Yeah, we Appreciate all that. We are working really hard. We had somebody mentioned sexual transmission. So, you know, there's not enough information out there on the different ways of transmitting vector-borne illness, and it's not just congenital. It can, you know, it's also on the CDC's website. I always mention that, but blood transfusions, sexual transmission, congenital transmission. There's multiple ways, and there's even been discussion of potential transmission through lactation, but that hasn't been properly studied just yet. So, you know, like a mom has a baby and then gets bit and sick after she gives birth. So there's so much that needs to be followed, and awareness put out there, and just opening access to care starts with good quality science that's not been corrupted.
Yeah.
So you're doing a great job putting this film out. It was just so well done, and I appreciate you allowing me to be a part of it. It was such an honor, and just a little blip.
Oh, pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. But I've got a family's perspective I recorded on my YouTube channel. If you're interested in getting started on the congenital aspect and what a family goes through, it's short, and my kids were a little smaller, but we were in the heart of our treatment at the time that I did it. So there's a lot of stories out there like mine that people need to hear. It's definitely a potential, it could be a thriller, it could be a horror show, it could be a documentary on lots of different ways that you can go with that, but it needs to get out there, that's for sure. We're just super glad that you started this conversation with the world, and the awareness that you gave is such a highlight to those of us who have suffered greatly, and we're proud of Frances too for being willing to tell her story. That's such an ordeal, and a lot of people wouldn't be willing to, you know, ugly cry on camera to the world, but I'm so glad that she did. So please pass on our love and hugs to her for doing it, and for you, big hugs and love to you as well for putting the heart that you did into all of this.
Thank you. Thank you. We hope it continues to change lives, you know. There's no plan B. That's what we got to do.
Absolutely. I'd also like to see an update on the CDC and the work that we're doing with Center for Lyme Action. Would you like to stay for that discussion, or do you need to head out? Up to
I
you.
do need to head out, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yes.
So,
but thank you for the invitation. I appreciate it.
Of course. Well, we appreciate you being here with us today, and all that you did for putting awareness out. Appreciate you so much.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys for watching the film. I hope it stays with you for days and months. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, Tony, be in touch. Look me up anytime that you have any time in Dallas, and happy to carry on the conversation another time.
Okay. Thank you guys. Have a fantastic time there.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
We will. Have a great night. Take care.
You as well. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. That's just amazing that he was taking notes, you guys. That's pretty cool. If you guys saw that, thought that was kind of neat. So I just wanted to share with you guys a little bit of information before you guys head out. I know a lot of you guys have gotten better, and some of you have not just yet. So I'm going to maybe get my other social media page coming up and engage for a couple minutes with some other people. But I know so many people are always asking what the latest and the greatest treatment is, and there's no one size fits all, as everybody is aware, but there we go. but there's a lot of resources, and that is, I don't want to log into Zoom. Okay, well anyway. Okay, I'm just going to say it once again. I hate technology. Let me close all this out. There we go. All right. So what I wanted to focus on was staying in the solutions, because it's so hard to do as, how do I turn this off, you guys? Does anybody know? Let's see. Here we go. Yeah, that bright light. Here we go. Power off. Woohoo! Okay. Okay. I don't know if anybody can see me on there, but I can see you. Yeah. You can? Okay. So, thank you everybody for being here with us today, and I just wanted to let you guys know a few things that I think is important for people out there that may be struggling and healing. Also, just to highlight what I mentioned earlier to Tony Silva, is that we have support groups online that are virtual 7 days a week on our website. The tab is MD and Patient Support. It is virtual. It's hosted by the Chronic Pain and Chronic Illness Anonymous program. It's based off the 12-step programs. There's a 12-step program for everything. So why not people suffering from chronic pain and chronic illness? So check that out. It's free, and it's a wonderful resource to help with the psychiatric side of this illness. That's one of the worst parts of this illness, is that it is a brain infection. It's a central nervous system infection. So anxiety, depression, etc. is a big part of getting through the treatment. So also, ILADS is the International Lyme and Associated Diseases Society, and they have a new program that I'm proud to announce I'm a part of. That's the ILADS Ambassador Program, and it's where we're trying to engage with the medical community to get more physicians and medical practitioners, even naturopaths are welcome to join, but to become properly educated on identifying, testing, and treating properly vector-borne illness. So I'm really proud to be a part of that program. There's only 8 of us so far in the United States, and proud to say I was the first. We had been talking about doing several different ways to engage with the community. And so as part of the Lyme disease community and advocacy, I'm working to get support groups across Texas. Bringing ILADS information with me is a big part of that, but also the Center for Lyme Action. And I'm going to grab this information to pass around for you guys, but it is a big part of the advocacy work that I do is with the Center for Lyme Action. And like I said in the beginning, we have increased federal funding, $405 million in 5 years for prevention, increasing diagnostic testing, and treatment. But through the Lyme X program, with Center for Lyme Action's increased federal funding, we should have a few good diagnostic tests on the market to patients within the next year or two. So as you heard Tony Silva talk about the diagnostic test being one of the biggest obstacles of people getting properly tested and treated, this is a solution. So again, staying in the solutions and talking about those solutions is more helpful than one medicine, because it can encompass a lot of medicines, which is mental health and prevention for other people to not get it. So I'm just going to pass these things around from the Center for Lyme Action for everybody to consider joining. All you do is go to centerforlymeaction.org, and the first screen, if you could pass it around, the first screen that pops up is to sign up for their newsletter, and that's the first thing that will help you get better. Advocacy is healing. Being a part of the advocacy community has helped me come across some of the state-of-the-art medications and treatments and therapies from around the world that I have learned through advocacy work. I would have never learned about staying sick in bed and off the internet and out of the advocacy community. Advocating for myself and my children is the way we ended up in remission. It's true. I came across some medications through advocacy. They didn't work. Not everything is going to. But the only way I found out about them is through advocacy. And I'm showing my labs publicly for another one that I did come across through advocacy. Again, I would have never found out about this protocol, this research, and these doctors without getting involved in advocacy. And again, I don't promote any protocol, doctors, financial advice or legal advice in any of the work that I do. But I am trying to get access to care as open as possible and in your hands as possible. So this is my lab work from being on what's called the rock tail. And it is to help with inflammation, like Dr. Horowitz was talking about with Tony Silva. The cytokines and chemokines, well, those all need treated. So I also started a coaching business after 42 years of testing and treating, 30 years misdiagnosed, giving it to 4 congenital Lyme kids, and 16 doctors missing my proper diagnosis. I was able to get the help that I needed. The things that worked for us didn't cost a lot of money. It was working through all the other garbage that was just noise. Some may work for other people that didn't for us, but I like to also say I did 4 years of antibiotics. I had a port in my chest like what you saw in there. Some of you may have had or have been considering. I was no better after those 4 years. The first year I was on 33 prescription pills a day, and you know, it was enough to choke a horse, but I survived. So if I can do it, anybody can get better. My son Logan is here. He's also in remission. My other children are also in remission, and Mason actually showed up this year, who had to leave for work, but he showed up for the Center for Lyme Action this year on Roxanne and my team for Texas. So I'm really proud of my kids. I'm really proud of my family for sticking together through treatment and you know, showing up to tell other people. I'm 17 years old, my son Mason, and I got better. And it's basically with Center for Lyme Action, like what you're looking at now. That is a very organized cookie cutter program where all you have to do, even from your bed, is click a button and sign on to the Zoom calls with your legislators that they will organize all for you. But that's what Mason showed up and did this year, and I couldn't believe how good he was at it. A 17-year-old kid
that easy to do, and it's really something that everybody can do to help. It's not hard. I put off doing it for several years because I thought it was going to be too complicated, and they walk you right through it. It's just so easy, and it's really a great way for everybody to help. And you don't even have to really do anything. Even if you just show up, it makes a lot of difference when they see the numbers of people, at least, you know, taking part and showing up. You don't even have to talk if you don't want to.
That's right.
But yeah, and I think it's also it makes you feel empowered that you're doing something.
Yeah, and the biggest thing, thank you, Roxanne, the biggest thing about that is we need advocates from every single district. You know how many districts there are in Texas? A lot. Okay, so we need like 5 advocates to show up from every single district. And then with our state reps, I'm very proud to say we have 33 registered Center for Lyme Action advocates this year registered. So my husband did it last year, Mason, I think it was last year. Mason did it this year. So, you know, we're well. I don't need to be doing this anymore, right? But I feel a calling because I remember being disabled in bed, raising 4 kids on my own. My husband was traveling for work for 4 years while I had a port in my chest and sleeping on my bathroom floor because I couldn't function. But the problem is that I was calling out who was speaking for us. How could this happen in America in whatever it was, 13 at the time. And, you know, God told me, you will be that person when you get better. So here I am today because of that. Thank you. So it's hard to talk about, as you saw in the film, you know, it's a tear-jerking situation because I know this suffering. I was disabled while owning a fitness gym. I heard all those gaslighting things saying, it's all in your head, you just want attention, or you're very stressed, you're trying to do too much was always the #1 thing because I was trying to go to college and, you know, working full time, and then I was working on the weekends. Like, Lyme stops all of that. I ended up having to close my business that I put all my sweat, blood, and tears. It cost us $65 grand just to open the place and have it built out. So, I mean, big commitments are put forth towards helping other people grow in their health and wellness. But that all came to a screeching halt when my son that showed up last year for Center for Lyme Action, this year, in February, he wasn't getting any better. He had bacterial meningitis, severe pain just to move his head, to turn his head to speak to me. He would scream and screech in pain. So my family is always questioned, like, because we talk about being in remission, but we don't oftentimes talk about how awful it was too, because I do try to stay in the solutions, but my story is one just like yours, and just like maybe other people watching on Instagram today, which, sorry, it was the only social media that I could get working today, but I did it. So I'm going to pass this around. You guys are welcome to scan the QR code and follow my journey with this protocol. My inflammation has gone up and down and then gotten a lot lower. And then I caught COVID 2 Christmases ago. So it went back up. So, you know, it's going back down again. So it's always a work in progress, and I don't make recommendations for anybody to take this protocol or that this doctor is going to be able to solve your problems or help you, but following my journey might be able to open up access to care for you, because anybody who's had any of this stuff needs to be testing to see what their inflammation is like, because Dr. Patterson's research has discovered that our monocytes are actually reservoirs for dead remnants of these pathogens, and that explains potentially the mechanism for autoimmune disease. So when you hear all this conundrum about the CDC, etc., I think they, were trying to market a vaccine for Lyme disease, so they removed some bans, we know that. And so that began the problem with a false medical culture being created around Lyme disease. And it made it very politicized and controversial, and unfortunately we all fell through the cracks and suffered greatly. But we're rising above because we have a lot of private partnerships with Center for Lyme Actions, exposing some of the government entities that are partnering with private foundations to help this problem go away. So when I encourage you guys to show up at these events, it is to encourage you guys to share this information with someone else to open up access to care for them. Because would you have heard about Dr. Patterson going to Chick-fil-A today, or going to, you know, staying in bed suffering? You wouldn't, just like I wouldn't have, unless I had a retired pharmacist serve on my board for a while, who stays in the knowledge base of the medical community. It's different than what I was doing at the time. So just having my antenna up and ear to the ground as a mom. Dr. Liebner calls me a mama bear. I was able to discover some of this stuff. Is it the cure for you? I don't know. But it's sure worth ordering the labs and finding out if it can help you. I think the last thing I wanted to mention was we can't do this work without you guys showing up to support us. Also sharing the need for donations and fundraising right here in Texas for Texas Lyme Alliance is always the plug I give, because we can't pay for these things. This event wasn't cheap, and the marketing wasn't. The donations by the people who support us are so incredibly generous, you guys. That's how we got this building, completely 100% donated. So, you know, there's things that cost money, there's things that don't. It's on a monthly basis. So consider, I'm not asking sick people for money, but pass on the information, because you never know who could. And all the amounts matter, they all help. So consider going to ILADS and putting in your application to become an ambassador. Go to Center for Lyme Action and sign up for their newsletter. It's $30 a month if you, a one-time yearly charge of $30 to become a member for Center for Lyme Action to help support growing federal funding for Lyme disease. And then, did I hit it all, Roxanne? I think I did. Yeah. Do you want to say anything?
No, I'm all good.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for me or anything about the documentary that I can help with? Or thanks so much for coming today. I don't have any idea. Oh, yeah, come on.
Oh,
Come on.
where should
Did you bring your jewelry?
Yeah, I did.
Oh,
I made
good.
Lyme disease
Come here, Laura.
awareness bracelets
Okay, so
out of
come
natural stones.
tell us on
Oh,
Instagram
oh
Live, so everybody can hear what you brought. This is my friend Laurel, and she's in remission also, and we've known each other for years, and she's an amazing person. But show them what you do. That's also very amazing.
Yes, I make bracelets. When I had Lyme disease, I felt like the only thing I could do was creatively, because I'm a graphic designer, was anything that I could do just sitting on my butt. Because walking was hard and I was dizzy. I had neuro Lyme. So I thought, how can I still be creative and still produce something of beauty? And then I realized, looking into the stones, looking into different stones and crystals, I became very fascinated with the esoteric properties of the stones and healing and relaxation properties in the stones themselves. So when I was choosing green stones for the Lyme disease bracelets and necklaces, I just chose the most healing stones I could find. That were also grounding and relaxation inducing.
Show 'em.
They're all kind of,
They're beautiful. She gave me one at our last event, and hematite
yes,
is one of the stones on there. Tell them about what's in it, and then we'll.
yes. One of the stones is pre-night, which is, they call it the healer's healer. And it's light green, and I use black tourmaline with some of these stones, jade. I have courage bracelets, courage intention bracelets that just kind of help. My sister has cancer right now, and I've helped her get through a lot of her testing and different just awful tests that she's had to go through. She wears her healing bracelets and looks at them while she's getting a spinal tap or whatever, different treatments. And I also have electromagnetic protection bracelets. A lot of us, when we have bacterial overload in our bodies, we become very sensitized to EMFs, from 5G, dirty electricity. So there's been studied that shungite, they studied it in Russia a lot, that noble elite shungite is a good protective stones. So I make bracelets and necklaces out of shungite,
Love it.
and it helps me
I
a lot.
have one. You want to go show them?
Yeah, sure.
I have one of those big ones next to my bed.
Oh yeah,
To protect me,
it
yeah.
blocks radiation.
Yeah. We
It
used to,
helps
when we
me.
were sick, we turned off our Wi-Fi every night. So,
So
you know,
important.
there's a lot of different ways that when people say, what's the latest and greatest medicine to get me better, my mind just, like, oh my gosh. It took us about $300,000 for all 5 of us to get better, and 10 years. So, you know, when
It's a
people
long
ask,
time.
like, and like what you heard today, it's emotional healing, like wholeness, versus NED, no evidence of disease, which is the term they use for cancer as well. But it's mental, emotional, spiritual, not just physical healing. So,
Right.
yeah, that's
And
the
working on traumas that we all, I think we all get
Everybody
many
does, yeah.
traumas as we're healing from this disease. Finding out we have it, and then with each treatment, and then detoxing
Yeah.
creates some more trauma that we have to work through. And then setbacks, you know, create
Yeah.
trauma too.
Absolutely. Well, thanks
Have to be
for
working.
showing us. I
Sure.
love that you brought that. You
I'll
might
set
want to
those up.
share. Yeah.
Do you have a website or something?
So,
I do. I have an Etsy shop, and I'll set some of these.
so she's sharing. She has an Etsy shop. The last thing is I also started a Lyme disease coaching program called Synergy Consulting, and the first hour is free, and then after that I charge. But it's on, my schedule is on my website, txlymealliance.org. I think it's /integrative health coaching. But the issue is what we just talked about. Healing encompasses a changing of mindset. And that's what I studied in my integrative health coaching program, is changing mindset. And so it started with me and changing my mindset, because I wasn't better in all the ways. And of course, I'm not ever going to all be together. But we all are healing as a journey throughout life until we die. And Lyme is just part of that journey. That's over with for me now. I'm paying it forward with my consulting program, as well as the nonprofit work, and through Center for Lyme Action and ILADS, to give back to the community with what I was able to turn into success for my family and I. So changing the mindset is very difficult to do with people who have a very difficult time letting go of the Lyme identity. And that's part of my job in turning awareness, acceptance, and action. It's actually an Al-Anon mindset shift, where we talk about the 3 A's in healing through my coaching. But it is part of healing, is turning infection into action. And so that's why I always present, when I talk to anybody, even people who haven't ever had Lyme disease, about staying in the solution. We have to change our mindset from sick. Logan, what did I used to tell you guys when you were sick all the time? We're not a house full of sickies, we're a house full of athletes. We're a house full of athletes. Because I had a soccer player, I had a lacrosse player, I had a golfer, I had basketball, but I was thinking, Tucker was baseball. You know, so much time could be spent on talking about my story, because you guys will resonate and people out there listening may resonate, but it was very difficult to change that mindset when my kids couldn't lift their head off their pillow, or I was sleeping on the bathroom floor for the 3rd day. Because you can't believe this could happen in America with the technology that we have, unless there was, you know, a politicization and conflicts of interest at hand. So I try not to go down those rabbit holes in my coaching, because we have to let go of the where we have to stand present in where we are today so that we can move past the illness and into a healing mindset where we have to let go of the identities that we gain along the way with being part of a Lyme community and being part of an Epstein-Barr community. And I mean, my gosh, we'd never sleep. We'd be a part of so many communities. I had so many things wrong with me when I first got diagnosed with Lyme disease. I literally asked Dr. Ron Wilson, thank you Jesus for him, to stop testing me because I was so overwhelmed with the amount of work, and I just saw huge dollar bills going out the window. So I think of through encompassing integrative tools, frequency testing, frequency medicine, a lot of different integrative things. I won't promote urine, but I know there's a thing to that. There really is. Just like bees. You think, oh my God, that's disgusting. I could never do that. Well, you know, it may save somebody's life. I know it was promoted for a kidney disease or something like that in the original onset of that becoming popular. There will be no patient left behind, and we'll all get up together and out of the trenches and hopefully stay out of them. But thanks again for showing up for yourselves today. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
I did.